Welcome to the presentation on StrengthFinder. This is designed to help you better understand your own strength results, as well as to apply the results to your own life to get the most value from the experience. StrengthFinder is based on positive psychology. And positive psychology has come quite a long way over the past decade or so. It is now used in many different industries. And the idea of positive psychology and happiness is that happiness is what actually allows us to be successful, not the other way around. Many people believe that if they are successful, they will find happiness. But the idea is that if we are happy, it creates those conditions in which we can be successful. So happy people are much more likely than unhappy or less happy people to have fulfilling relationships, to have higher incomes, to have superior work performance, to be involved in their community, to be physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy, and to have a long life. But how do we be happy? Knowing ourselves is one of the best ways to start being happier, and getting our StrengthFinder results from the assessment is one way of helping to know ourselves. So this allows us, these StrengthFinder assessment results, to give an understanding of ourselves at a different level and a language to articulate what we might have already on some level known, but now we can speak to others about it and apply it. We all have gifts or talents, and StrengthFinder helps to identify those talents, and those become sources of potential strengths. It's important to understand that each of the strengths is equally valuable. All of the strengths that we're going to discuss are equal. So each person is comprised of a set of unique strengths. You are going to find out your top 5 results. It's actually rare to find somebody who has the exact same top 5, which helps to make each person unique. So the idea of strengths came from positive psychology. Donald Clifton and Gallup developed these concepts over 30 years ago, and it was based upon the notion of trying to help employers and businesses get the most from their employees. During the process of development, there were millions, literally millions of psychological interviews that were done, and the result is the StrengthFinder assessment, which is comprised of 34 distinct themes of talent. Now let's talk about the difference between talents and strengths. It's important to make sure that we are understanding the language of StrengthFinder. It might be that we've heard some of these terms before, but they mean different things out in the world than they do in StrengthFinder. So a talent, for the sake of understanding it in this context, is a natural reoccurring pattern of thought, feeling, and behavior that can be productively applied. So we might have an inborn talent that can turn into a strength. An example might be that somebody at a young age shows that they have a talent for art. They're not necessarily creating great works of art at a young age, but they show a natural inborn tendency to do well with art. So it's not yet a strength, but it is a talent. So the strength is the ability to provide consistent, near-perfect performance, near-perfect, because we always can improve, in a given activity. So in order for this to occur, we need to identify our inborn talents. We need to add knowledge and skills. So let's go back to the art example. If I don't learn different techniques of art, I'm not necessarily going to develop that talent. Also, if I don't practice, and that helps me develop a skill, I am not necessarily going to fully evolve that talent into a strength. So again, a strength is the inborn talent plus the knowledge of how to grow and develop it, plus the practice, the skill that evolves over time. That is what develops a strength. So if we're talking about art, Pablo Picasso is a good one to quote. Talent without technique is merely a bad habit. So In terms of our own strengths quest, finding out about our own strengths, it's meant to answer our own questions about ourselves. It's meant to be a discovery, an adventure that generates optimism and a sense of direction. The more we know about ourselves, the more confidence we can become and generate a sense of vitality, vitae meaning life, a sense of vitality. So, when I receive my strengths results, it's important to read through the descriptions of each of my top 5. It can be helpful to underline or highlight the lines in the descriptions that I feel are highly representative of me, and perhaps even cross out those that I don't think apply to me. So I can even write it on a name tag and list just in a simple place my top 5. Well, now that I have my results, it's important to reflect upon them. This will be a place, if you're watching this video, to pause it and to complete the following activity of these 5 questions. What was my first reaction when I read my results? What new discovery have I made about myself as a result of receiving these? What surprised me? And perhaps what theme did I think what I see at the top but didn't? So in the handout that's provided, I have a brief description of all 34. So perhaps there's one I thought that would be within the top 5 but wasn't. And then, have I shared my signature themes report with anyone? And if so, what was the reaction? Did they say, I think those accurately reflect your strengths? Or were they surprised as well? So if you're watching this video, please pause and go ahead and complete that activity. The second activity, to help me really apply the idea of strengths, is to go to the picture of excellence. At the top of the page, I'm asked to write the name of an effective or successful person, and then list some characteristics of that person. Below that, I will complete these statements, starting with the time when I am at my best is, and ending with the best project I've ever been involved with was. After I've completed that activity, restart this video. Now, after I've completed this activity, look back through, and for the people that I listed as effective or successful, how does that relate to my own strengths? Sometimes we find that a person we see as successful is really reflective of our own strengths. They have many strengths in common. Sometimes we see someone as effective or successful because they have complementary strengths, things that we aspire to be able to do. Also, in terms of the questions, the statements I completed on the page, how do my strengths relate to, let's say, how I earned my best grades or the best project I've ever been involved with? So take a look at how I answer and apply my strengths to see if those are starting to emerge as important factors. A scavenger hunt will allow me to better understand strengths other than my own. The way to do this, if you're watching this video and you're taking this course online, is to find 2 or 3 people online who have a strength that's different than those in my own top 5. And again, if you're taking LAC 188 online, you will do this via Google Community. Take the time to have somebody explain in their own words why they believe a particular strength is beneficial. And then perhaps share what I've learned about their strength that I don't have in my top 5 to test my own understanding of that strength. Now, strengths apply to leadership. There are 4 leadership domains: executing, which is how to make something happen; influencing, how we rally others; relationship, which is about helping people come and stay together; and strategic thinking, why we do what we do. Take a few minutes to circle on your handout your top 5 strengths. and see if they're scattered throughout the domains or if they're more clustered within a domain. The better we can understand our own strengths and how it relates to our leadership, the more effective leaders we can become. Often when we think of leadership, perhaps we just think of one of these domains. Perhaps we thought of a leader as somebody who is just influencing, rallying others, and thinking, if I don't have strengths within there, perhaps I'm not an effective leader. Perhaps we thought about a leader as somebody who can think strategically. They're behind the scenes. And if I'm not able to think strategically, if that's not an area of strength, perhaps I'm not an effective leader. What this helps to demonstrate is that there are 4 complementary areas of leadership. And to truly be an effective leader, we need to make sure that we have an intentional group, an intentional team that can pull together the strengths that collectively make us effective. So here's a more detailed description of each of the 4 leadership domains. Executing. So an example of executing is somebody who can turn to implement a solution. They can work tirelessly to get something done. These are the doers. They have an ability to take an idea and transform it into reality. The second domain of leadership is influencing. These are people who are just innately good at selling ideas, both inside and outside the organization. So when we need someone to step up and speak up and make sure that the group is heard, this is somebody who has influencing. They're in the influencing leadership domain. Relationship building, the glue that holds the team together. People who are strong in this domain can pull people together and transform that group of individuals into a very effective team. And lastly, the 4th domain of leadership, strategic thinking. Keep focused on what they could be. In other words, what the team could be, what the idea could be, what the company could be, and continue to analyze the information and then help the team to make better decisions. So the 4 domain activity, go ahead and circle your 4, and I encourage you at some point to talk with others about what their domains were and start to think about the idea of leadership as a collection of people with different strengths who together can make a cause go forward, complete a task effectively, and have a strong company. So this is the introduction to the idea of strengths. Our final thoughts. Think about focusing on developing your strengths. You have your top 5. Applying them can help you to be successful and continue to be happy. It can help you with the exploration of who you are. Now that you have some common language, it can help you build community. It can help in terms of your conversations with others. You've got some common language. It can help you in terms of how you approach each academic course, because you can apply your strengths to a learning environment. And if there are areas you want to improve, it allows you to better identify and work on those areas.